everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. We picked up 4 experience from Return to the Unspeakable Oath last week, and also managing to escape Arkham Asylum, so now we're on to the 5th scenario, Return to a Phantom of Truth. First up, let's set the scene.
Intro 1.
Actually, hang on, we gotta do a little bit of intro stuff.
Scenario 5, A Phantom of Truth. Check campaign log. If the king claimed its victims, read Intro 1. Otherwise, skip to Intro 2.
The king did not claim its victims, so Intro 2.
Intro 2. It has been several weeks since the events in the asylum, and you are still no closer to the truth about the King in Yellow and Carcosa. You have scoured the city for signs of the others Daniel had mentioned, the ones who are opening the path to Carcosa, but found nothing. Either the trail has gone cold, or they're no longer in Arkham. Perhaps Daniel truly was insane, and you are only following him deeper down the rabbit hole. Every night, you toss and turn as you are subjected to vivid dreams of Carcosa. Its black stars, twin suns, shattered moons, and twisted spires. Continue to dream 1. Don't get lost.
Before we continue on this, and we're going to go to Dream 1 in a second, I do want to mention that these audio recordings were recorded when I did not have an active campaign of Path to Carcosa. The reason I bring that up is because, if you remember last week at the end of the scenario, we actually heeded the warning to not speak the name of Haster. So once the game starts, I will be following that rule. But the other reason I mentioned that is, like I said, when these recordings were made. So any presence of Haster's name in these recordings, I'm not going to penalize the investigators for. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear before we got into that. But we are waiting for Dream 1.
Dream 1. You fall through the empty abyss of Holly. Creatures of unknown and impossible origin lurk just beyond the darkness of your sight. Haster looms above you, magnificent and yet bound in his prison of madness, manipulating your torturous descent with a soul outstretched arm. Each investigator has earned the Lost Soul weakness. The path to Carcosa number 227 does not count toward deck size. Shuffle 1 copy of this weakness into each investigator's deck. Continue to Dream 2.
Before we continue to Dream 2, we'll take a look at Lost Soul. 1 is going into each of their decks. Lost Soul, it's a Madness Pact. Revelation, check campaign log. If you have more doubt than conviction, you would test Lore. Lore X, where X is your will. If you fail, take 2 damage. If you have more conviction than doubt, test Will X, where X is your lore. Uh-oh. If you fail, take 2 damage. That's not going to be that bad for Jacqueline to have come up, but that is going to be deadly for Mandy. Because Jacqueline can test Will... Jacqueline would be testing Will 3 when this comes up, and she's up at least 2 on that. Mandy, however, is reversed, where she would be down at least 2. But I'll give that a shuffle into both of their decks. I've got Mandy's first since it's closer. We'll give that a cut. And Jacqueline's. And a cut. And we're headed for Dream 2.
Dream 2. Constance takes your hand and pulls you onto the polished dance floor. Come now, don't be shy. Tonight is a night for dancing, for celebration. Check campaign log. If the king claimed its victims, continue to Dream 8. If the above is not true, if you intruded on a secret meeting, continue to Dream 3. If you slayed the monsters at the dinner party, continue to Dream 4. If none of the above are true, continue to Dream 6.
Alright, so checking our campaign log, We slayed the monsters of the dinner party, so Dream 4.
Dream 4. Smoke and embers float upwards into the starless night sky. The screams of burning creatures fill you with a horrid sense of accomplishment. They almost sound human, you consider, but you know that isn't true. Each investigator suffers one mental trauma. Continue to Dream 6.
Alright, I took the trauma for both investigators, so we are on to Dream 6.
Dream 6. The lights of the theater dim and a spotlight shines on the stage. "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen," the creature exclaims. Its many tentacles reach across the stage, up into the rafters, and throughout the aisles. It tears the curtains down, and tattered red cloth falls over its bulbous form. Check campaign log. If the police are suspicious of you, continue to Dream 7. Otherwise, continue to Dream 8.
Checking the campaign log once again. The police are not suspicious of us, so that sends us to Dream 8.
Dream 8. You peer in the mirror, and the stranger peers back at you. His gaze drills into your mind. The mirror shatters. Check campaign log. If there are 3 or fewer tally marks under chasing the stranger, continue to Dream 9. If there are 4 or more tally marks under chasing the stranger, continue to Dream 10.
We only have 2 tally marks under chasing the stranger, so we are on to Dream 9.
Dream 9. You chase the stranger through dark, chilly passageways composed of hundreds of thousands of skeletal bodies. Skulls watch as you run, their mouths rattling a mocking taunt as you pass. The stranger reaches a solid wall of bone and is grabbed by bony hands and pulled into the wall. Their mocking laughs reach an awful crescendo. Continue to Dream 13. Dream 13. Daniel's voice calls out to you. They are opening the path to Carcosa. Continue to Awakening. Awakening. You awaken from your fitful dream, sweating and gagging. This cannot go on any longer. You have only one option if you are to continue your investigation. You must find Nigel Ingram, director of the King in Yellow and architect of this madness. Only he will have the answers you seek. You pack your bags and plan your trip to Paris, the City of Lights. Check campaign log. If Jordan Perry is listed under VIPs interviewed, proceed to Jordan's information. Otherwise, skip to setup.
Jordan at the dinner party was one of the 2 NPCs that we did not interview, so we proceed to setup, which I, of course, did all of that last night. So next up, let's remind everyone of what our tarot reading was. On the good side, we left Strength 8, so each investigator will be able to play an asset from their hand at -2 cost when the game begins. And on the bad side, we flipped Temperance 14. Each investigator gets 1 fewer sanity. And I believe, I'm going to double check something, but it pertains to the trauma. So closet opening, closet closing. I believe the way the official rules go for setup, for setting up a scenario, I'm just double checking that here we are. Choose the investigators, take trauma, damage, and horror. Read the scenario introduction in the campaign guide. Okay, so we don't take the trauma that we just picked up now. That's what I wanted to double check. Alright, we'll take a look at opening hands. Jacqueline will once again be our lead investigator. We have a couple of good options here that we could play. First up, this isn't one of them. Medicio della Peste. 1 cost to play, will and question mark on commit. Limit 1 mask in play. As a reaction after it enters play, you heal 1 damage or 1 horror. And on a fast action, when you initiate a non-will test, discard Medicio della Peste. Use will for this test instead of the skill indicated. Our other option that we probably won't play is Arcane Studies level 4. 2 cost to play, 2 will, 2 lore on commit. Uses 2 resources. Replenish them at the start of the round. As a fast action, spend 1 resource from your resource pool or from Arcane Studies. You get +1 of either one for this skill test. The last one that we're not going to be playing, but because it starts in play, is 4 of Cups, Chalice of the Heart. It would be a 3 cost to play. You get +1 will, but when the game begins, if 4 of Cups is in your opening hand, put it into play. Seek clarity in your heart and mind. I'm going to shortcut that now and just put that into play. And then for our two options, both of which are going to go together really well, first up we have the Enchanted Bow level 2, level 2. Will and Agility on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action, exhaust Enchanted Bow to fight, using either Will or Agility instead of combat and get +1 skill value. This attack deals +1 damage, and as an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If you do, ignore Aloof and Retaliate. Takes both hands and an arcane slot. And the other option we have is Twila Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream. 3 cost to play, Lore and Agility on commit. As a free action, after you spend 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twila to place a charge on that asset, which you'll hear me shortcut as exhaust Twila to keep the charge on. Just want to get that out of the way. As for Mandy, her options, well, she's got some good options as well. This isn't one of them, though. Momentum. Question mark on commit, and if the skill test is successful, reduce the difficulty of the next skill test you perform this phase by X, where X is the amount the skill test succeeded by, to a maximum of 3. Then we've got Strange Solution, Acidic Ichor. 1 cost to play, 2 combat and commit. Research uses 3 supplies. As an action, spend a supply to fight with a base combat of 6 and deal +2 damage. Then Pantalone, 1 cost to play, Lore, wildcard on commit. Limit 1 mask in play. Reactions after it enters play, draw 2 cards. And when you initiate a non-lore test, discard Pantalone to use lore for this test instead of the skill indicated. And her asset options are the Occult Lexicon level 3, 2 cost to play, 2 lore on commit. Limit 1 per deck. Reaction, when you play Bloodright, either change each 2 on it to a 3 or shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. And after it enters play, search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Bloodright. Add 1 to your hand and the other 2 to your deck. Or Eon Chart. 2 cost to play, Lore, Agility, wildcard on commit. Uses 3 secrets. As a fast action, during your turn, exhaust Eon Chart and spend 1 secret. Choose and take 2 of the following actions in any order. Move, evade, or investigate, and it takes the ally slot. Alright, next we've got the starting act and agenda decks. Agenda 1A, the first night. As you step off the train in Gare d'Orsay, the sun sinks below the Paris skyline. You can't waste any time. If Nigel Ingram is somewhere in Paris, you have to find him and wring the answers from him one way or another. While you have more conviction than doubt, we have 5 conviction to no doubt. This agenda gains. When checking the doom threshold, doom on cards other than this agenda subtract from the total doom in play instead of adding to it. Wonderful, and we need 6 doom to advance that. That'll be 6 total doom once we factor in subtracting from other cards. Then our starting act. The Parisian Conspiracy. You pass the Church of St. Barnabé as you exit the train station and cannot help but overhear the organ playing. Is there a sermon this late in the evening? You marvel at the wild and strange chords for a moment before continuing. Paris is a big city, and you have very few leads. Objective, spend the requisite number of clues to advance, or at the end of the round, if there are 3 or more doom in play, advance. And we need 4 doom to advance that. If it's advancing either way, it's probably doing something bad to us, but we can't think about that now. Last up, the ladies will move over to the map, so let's join them there. Alright, we've got our starting map over here, and here's Gare d'Orsay, where Mandy and Jacqueline are starting. Built in 1900, this train station was the first urban station in the world to use only electric trains. This flips into Shroud of 4, 2 clues. As an action, spend a resource, move to any rail station. You'd expect the station to be bustling, but it is eerily abandoned. save for a few passengers who wander the station in slow, meandering steps. We'll get the 2 clues for that. And now I think that's everything set up. None of the locations are going to be relevant yet. So we are declaring start of game, which means now we can no longer speak the name of the king in yellow. But we also get to play an asset from our hand at -2 cost. Since Jacqueline's going to be our lead investigator once again, I think she will start off by paying 1 to bring out the enchanted bow. We'll bring that out first. Twilla will probably be her first action. I could have gone either way on that, but I think that's the way we're going to go with that. Grab the 3 charges, which are these brass-backed tokens from LCG that I love so much. As always, links to the special components I use are in the description down below. As for Mandy, I think she will actually play out her Eon chart, which we went through in her opening hand. We'll get the charges for that as well, same tokens. And then since we have a fast action window, I am going to exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a skill from Mandy off of that, so Mandy will find. Deduction level 2. That actually makes my turns really simple. It's 2 lower on commit, and when the skill test is successful while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue at that location, 2 additional clues instead if you succeed by 2 or more. That kind of changes the order I was going to go in. I think we'll start with Mandy, and we'll stay right here at the map. Action 1 for Mandy, she's going to investigate and commit that deduction she just found. I knew I had seen this symbol before. I must warn the others before it is too late. And that will put Mandy up 3, and I don't think Jacqueline's doing any tests this phase, so I'm going to put Jacqueline's special ability behind it. Mandy's up 3. 1, 2, 3. First token up. -2. I just need the pass. Second up. A 0. And a -1. So I'll cancel the -2 and the -1 to immediately pull both clues off the location. Then action 2, Mandy is going to spend a resource to move over to Notre Dame. So that moves her to any rail. I'll actually move her up to Le Marais. We'll see what's going on here. We find Shroud of 1, 2 clues. Forced. After you enter Le Marais, you cannot leave for the rest of the rest of the round. Throughout this region, you cannot shake the feeling that you are being watched. Something along the rooftops ducks just out of sight each time you peer upward. That's a Shroud of 1. And that was Mandy's second action. She'll spend a charge from Eon Chart. Since it's during her turn, she's going to take 2 investigates. She's up 4. Elder Thing is -2. If you fail, lose 1 resource for each point you failed by. Except Mandy didn't fail. She gets another clue. And then her second Eon Chart action is she's going to investigate again, up 4. Tentacle touched. Not what I wanted to have happen there. But action 3, I will run the investigate back since I can't leave anyway. -1 gets her the last clue. Now, it doesn't give me any kind of time restraint on when I can spend those clues, but I don't think we're going to spend them now. I think we're going to wait around. I think I'm going to wait until I'm probably at the start of the round. Anyway, Jacqueline's first action, as I mentioned earlier at the top, will be to pay 3 resources and play out Twilla. She's got 1 and 2 on Soak and the flavor text there. Sometimes this world, I wish I never came back. 1 and 2 on Soak. That's going into Jacqueline's ally slot. Action 2, she's going to move over to Gardens of Luxembourg. And here we'll find... Oop, dropping the card. Actually, before we do that, the Gardens of Luxembourg Palace contain hundreds of scattered statues, monuments, and fountains. It would make for a relaxing walk if you hadn't come here to escape the winged creatures that screech overhead in the dark sky overhead. Here we find Shroud of 3, 2 clues. While a Bayaki enemy is moving, if there's an enemy at Gardens of Luxembourg, that enemy's location is considered to be connected to Gardens of Luxembourg. Victory 1. We'll get the 2 clues for that. And then action 3, Jacqueline will investigate at even. Mandy can probably come down and start working on those clues next round. Skull is probably not getting Jacqueline those clues, but let's find out. He's not getting her either of those clues. -X, where X is the amount of doom in play to a max of 5. Hey, look at that. We actually got the clue. Very nicely done, Jacqueline. Then that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, first turn of the game. So, as in about 90% of cases, there are no enemies at the start of the game. So we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Mandy will gain 1 and go to 5. Jacqueline will draw. Occult Theory. While it's in your hand or committed to a skill test, it gains will icons equal to your lore and lore equal to your will. I'll flip over Jacqueline's special ability. Mandy draws. Quick Thinking. Wildcard on commit. If the skill test is successful by 2 or more, after it resolves, you may immediately take an action as if it were your turn. This action does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. Good skill commit there. Mythos phase. We're putting our first Doom on the agenda, and that's getting us to +1 toward advancing. Jacqueline draws. Swift Bayaki, 2/3/2. Prey, lowest remaining sanity. Hunter, retaliate. Forced. When Swift Bayaki would move via its Hunter keyword, instead move it 1 location at a time until it enters its prey's location. If it moved more than 1 location by this effect, it does not attack this phase. 1 and 1 on attack. That's not great. And then Mandy draws. Twisted to his will. If there's no Doom in play, which there is 1 on the agenda, so that counts as in play, Twisted to his will gains Surge. Otherwise, test Head X, where X is the number of Doom in play. If you fail, discard 2 cards from your hand at random. Mandy is up 2 on that, and she will commit... She's going to commit Quick Thinking to go up 3, mostly because I want a little bit of a tempo boost. But I have to succeed by 2 or more, so nothing less than a -1, please. And nothing more than a -1. That's a -2, so we do pass, but we don't get the extra action. Which is unfortunate. Actually, so she was at 3, yeah, 2 to 1. So she does pass, but she doesn't get the action. which is unfortunate, but no help for that at this point. Mandy will out-exhaust ancestral knowledge to draw a skill. She will draw another quick thinking, which we could have used about 10 seconds ago, but that's it for the investigation, for the mythos phase. Investigation phase now, and Jacqueline's got to deal with this Bayaki, so let's see what we can do about that. I can hear the comments now. Phoenix Knight, you were just talking about Jacqueline dealing with having a Bayaki to deal with. Why are you over at the map? Because Mandy's going to deal with it. So she's going to start by exhausting her Eon chart and spending a charge to take a move action down to Notre Dame. So here, the most famous cathedral in all of Paris and one of the finest examples of Gothic architecture in the world, Notre Dame de Paris, Our Lady of Paris, is an icon of the city. Light shines out from its stained glass windows, and you can hear a pipe organ inside blaring a bizarre, chaotic medley. This flips into Shroud of 4, 2 clues. Each enemy at Notre Dame gets +1 fight and -1 evade. Reaction: after you successfully evade an enemy at Notre Dame by 3 or more during your turn, you may take an additional action this turn. Group limit once per round. We'll get the 2 clues for that. But Mandy's going to move into the Gardens of Luxembourg. Action 1, she's going to spend 2 resources to play out her occult lexicon. We saw this earlier. We'll take it. Actually, before we do anything on that front, we're still going to do the move, but we are going to advance the. Actually, let me back everything up, including exhausting the Eon chart. We're probably still doing the move anyway, but let me see what happens when we advance the act. Because I was going to do that, but then I fell into the turn and I spaced on that. So, let's see what we've got here. We spent clues to advance. The organ you heard earlier continues to haunt you. No matter where you are, the torturous chords play over and over in your head. The sensation that you are being watched tugs at your mind. Spawn the set-aside organist enemy at the location farthest from all investigators. Hopeless, I defied him, side face up. Advance to Act 2A, Stalked by Shadows. Okay. We'll get to that in a minute, but before we do that, let's get the location farthest from all investigators. So let's see where we want him. I think he's going to go. It's definitely not there because that's 1 from Mandy. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, I think he's going up here. So hopeless, I defied him. 5, no health, 3. Humanoid Avatar Elite. Hunter can't be damaged. Forced. After the organist moves from the Hunter keyword, if it's unengaged, resolve its Hunter keyword again. The organist can't attack this phase, limit once per round. The point from which it would strike was his infernal eyes. Robert W. Chambers, In the Court of the Dragon, The King in Yellow. And 3 horror on attack. So, Act 2A, Stalked by Shadows. I knew that every time I met him brought him nearer to the accomplishment of his purpose and my fate. And still I tried to save myself. Robert W. Chambers, In the Court of the Dragon, The King in Yellow. Fast action, spend 1 per investigator or 2 clues as a group. Either place 1 doom on the current agenda or automatically evade the organist. Group limit once per round. Objective, survive 3 nights. Do not advance until you're instructed. Oh, for crying out loud. Don't advance until you're instructed. This is going to be a long scenario then. Also, we have forced rules where after the organist enters play, which he just did, shuffle both set-aside copies of Figure in the Shadows into the encounter deck along with the discard pile. We're not going to go through the actual... Here it is. We're not going to go through the actual card until we draw it out of the deck. But we are shuffling the deck in here. Right, so basically this is turning into a contest of how long can we last. Either place a doom on the agenda or automatically evade him. Okay, that's going to be fun. But I am still going to do the move on Eon Chart to bring Mandy down to Gardens of Luxembourg. Then for action 1, I'm going to spend 2 resources to play out her Occult Lexicon. We went through this already, so I won't go through it again. What I will do, however, is I'll grab her copies of Bloodright. Okay, I don't need those. Alright, Bloodright. 0 cost to play. Will, Lore, Combat on Commit. Bonded to Occult Lexicon. Draw 2 or 3 cards. Discard up to 2 or 3 cards from your hand. For each card thusly discarded, you may either gain a resource or spend a resource to deal a damage to an enemy at your location. This action doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. And we'll shuffle that in. Come on. Okay, so that's all handled for Mandy. Then she's going to play for action 2. She's going to play that copy of Bloodright, and we're going to use it as a 3. So we're going to draw 3 cards. First up we find another Bloodright. I know you guys watched me shuffle this. Next up, another Bloodright. Again, you guys watched me shuffle this. And Empirical Hypothesis. 2 cost to play, Lore on Commit. Customizable, limit 1 per investigator. Forced, at the start of the round, choose one of the following criteria for this round. And we've got quite a few criteria here. Let me find Empirical Hypothesis. You fail a test by 2 or more. You succeed at a test by 3 or more. You are dealt damage or horror. You discard a treachery or enemy in play. You enter a location with 3 or more shroud. Also, the chosen criteria is met if any investigator at your location meets it instead of only you, and other investigators at your location may trigger fast abilities on Empirical Hypothesis. And when the chosen criteria is met, you may exhaust Empirical Hypothesis to add 1 evidence to it. We can spend 1 evidence to draw a card, or we can spend 2 to reduce the cost of the next card we play by 3. Let's see. As for what we want to discard, I think we'll discard Empirical Hypothesis, Momentum, and Pantalone. Then we'll spend 3 resources to take the Bayaki out. So the Bayaki has been defeated. Then for action 3, I think Mandy's going to try to grab that last clue off the location. She's up. This time she's up 2. We're going to commit quick thinking to go up 3. Try to get an extra action. I want to move back away from the Organist if I can. Do I want to throw Jacqueline's ability behind this? What's Jacqueline even doing this round? Probably just drawing cards and gathering resources. Yeah, I think I'll put Jacqueline's ability behind this. One, two, three. First token up. the Tentacle, which will have to get canceled. So now we just need the pass. A +1, and the Elder Sign. So we actually do get the Elder Sign, but let's take a look at Mandy's Elder Sign. +0, search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test if able. Shuffle your deck. And because of Mandy's ability, so we actually resolve the Elder Sign first, and I'm going to go... looking at her hand, I think I want 2 targets from the search. I want to try to replenish her hand a little bit. First card up. The Eye of Truth, level 5. 4 wild cards on commit. If the skill test is on a Treachery and the test is successful, add that Treachery to the victory display with the Eye of Truth attached to it. While attached, the Eye of Truth commits its skill icons to all tests on copies of the attached Treachery. Next up, another Eon chart, which could be helpful. And Pathfinder. Ooh. 3 cost to play, agility on commit. React as a fast action. During your turn, if you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder, move to a connecting location. Well, I think I want Pathfinder and Eon chart, and I can either draw them, so I'm going to draw them. Which means those go away. I'm shuffling the deck, hopefully burying weaknesses nice and deep. All right, and we'll give it a cut. All right, so coming back to the test after all of that, we have to cancel the Tentacle, but we get the Elder Sign and the +1, which gives Mandy the last clue and lets her perform another action. So I think the question now is, if we leave Mandy here, the Organist can't read. If we turn on the laser pointer, we can actually see. But what I'm trying to get at here is if we leave Mandy here at the Gardens of Luxembourg, the Organist has a couple paths he can move because they're equidistant. So if we leave Mandy there, he actually can't reach her. If we leave Mandy there, he actually can't reach her. Unless I move her in this direction, but I'm not going to do that. So I think Mandy is going to move toward Notre Dame. I'm taking a bit of a gamble here, but mainly because I know if I do that, I have to go through Le Marais again, where I'll get stuck there for the round. But getting stuck there might not be a terrible idea, just so I can replenish. Just so I can maybe use that as a turn to replenish before I move on to other locations. But that's it for Mandy. As for Jacqueline, I think she'll move over to Notre Dame as well with Mandy. Then for action 2, she's going to draw a card, so Jacqueline will draw. Emergency Cash, level 2. Gain 3 resources and draw a card. You can never be too prepared, and I think that looks like a great action 3 to me. So Jacqueline will gain 3 resources and draw another card. She will draw. Arcane Initiate, level 3. 0 cost to play, will or combat on commit. Forced, after it enters play, either place 1 Doom or 2 Horror on it. As an action, exhaust Arcane Initiate to search the top 3 cards of your deck for a spell and draw it, shuffling your deck. 1 and 3 on Soak. In this scenario, that's probably 1 and 1, because I don't want to have Doom on cards other than the agenda. But that will do it for Jacqueline, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Organist moves down to Opera Garnier, and because it's unengaged at that point, we resolve its Hunter keyword again, so he moves down to Gare d'Orsay, which fortunately he can't attack, not that he would have been able to anyway. So that means we get to reset everything. Me with my distinct lack of fingernails causing small problems, not horrible. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 6. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 1. Jacqueline will draw. Shriveling level 5. This is beautiful. 3 cost to play, will 2 combat on commit. Uses 4 charges. As an action, spend a charge to fight using will instead of combat. +3 will and deal +2 damage for the attack. But if we reveal a bad symbol during the attack, take 2 horror. Mandy draws. Survey the area, similar to Occult Theory. While it's in your hand or committed to a skill test, gain lore equal to your agility, and agility equal to your lore. So it would be giving her 3 agility. No, it would be giving her 3 lore, I should say, and 5 agility. Mythos phase, second doom on the agenda, +2 toward advancing. Jacqueline draws. Twisted to his will. Revelation, if there's no doom, we saw this earlier. So she's got to test will 2. She's up 3. And is there anything I can commit for benefit? Like I said, she's up 3 right now. No. So, yeah. She's just up 3. Where's the bag? Right here. And I'm not going to put Jacqueline's ability behind this. Even though there's an argument to protect her hand. Argument not needed. That is a -2, though, so we do need to be aware of Skull at this point. That's all clear. Now I almost wish we had kept the Eye of Truth, but no help for that at this point. Mandy draws. Figure in the Shadows. Oh, fantastic. Revelation, check the campaign log. If you have more or equal doubt than conviction, which we don't, we have more conviction than doubt, we resolve the organist's hunter keyword. So after the okay, so we have to are going to be resolving the organist's hunter keyword twice, because remember, that said specifically to resolve his hunter keyword. So since he's moving from that, he moves to the Garden of Luxembourg, and then he'll move again over to Notre Dame. And then since he had to resolve his hunter keyword again, he can't attack this phase. We'll give the organist to... We'll give him to Mandy, I guess. She'll have the better chance of evading him. Then we'll exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw another skill, so Mandy will draw. Another deduction, which could be handy for us, but that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now. I think Mandy will go first, and we'll see about getting away from the organist. So let's move down to her play area. Because we're in Notre Dame right now, because we're in Notre Dame right now, the organist gets -1 to his evade value. So he's a fight of 6, but an evade of 2, and we're going to take advantage of that, because Mandy for action 1 is going to try to get away from that. She's going to commit Survey the Area to go. That gives her agility equal to her lore. That gives her another 5. That's 8 to 2. She's up 6. +1 lets us evade the organist. So we'll put that on Notre Dame. Discard that. Action 2, we're going to investigate, and we'll commit deduction to it to go up 4, 5. So 5, 6, 7. She's up 3, and I think once again we're going to. We're up 3, and I'm going to put Jacqueline's special ability behind this, because I don't think she's doing any kind of testing this round anyway. 1, 2, 3. Token 1 is a -2. Token 2, the Elder Thing, and -1. So we'll cancel the Elder Thing and the -2 to reveal the -1, and that will get Mandy both clues off of Notre Dame. Then we're going to exhaust Eon Shard and spend the last charge from that. That will take us over to the map. I was just finishing up discarding Deduction. The Eon Chart move is going to bring Mandy we're going to use 2 move actions. We're going to move to Gardens of Luxembourg. Then we're going to move to Montparnasse. Let's see what we've got here. This area is known for its cafes and bars and is often frequented by starving artists. Perhaps some of these creative types will become famous someday. Most, you assume, will fade into obscurity. This flips into... Hold on, there's more connect... Wait. There's actually a direct connection here, so I need to get more connecting arrows for that. So that was going to be that'll be our first move then. Is that connected here? Yes. That is a 2-way connection. Alright, coming back to looking at Montparnasse. Shroud of 2 clues. As a fast action, discard a card from your hand, gain resources equal to the number of will icons on the discarded card, limit once per round. We'll get the 2 clues for that. Then we can investigate. I was going to move over to Gare d'Orsay, but with the organist currently locked down, I'm not as worried about that as I had been. So Mandy is up 3. -2 gets her one of the clues. We can definitely keep the organist locked down for a while. Action 3 will be another investigate, so Mandy's still up 3. A 0 gets her the other clue. So yeah, we've definitely got we can either lock the organist down, or we can put another doom on the current agenda. That will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline, well, that's as a group. So since we've got him evaded, we might as well spend a clue. We might as well spend 2 clues to put another doom on the agenda. So that'll bring us up to 3 doom. That's a fast action. That's not actually Jacqueline's first action. Her first action, however, once I can find it, will be to play out Shriveling. We'll get the 4 charges for that. And now both of Jacqueline's arcane slots are full, but she is very ready to defend herself. 4 charges for that. Action 2, she's going to move to Montparnasse. Action 3, I kind of want to keep them together right now, just in case we draw enemies. The goal here is also to keep some distance between us and the organist. So action 3 for Jacqueline. I think action 3 right now is going to be to play out her Arcane Initiate, and I'm going to put 2 Horror on it because I don't want to be subtracting from Doom right now. Then we're going to exhaust the Arcane Initiate so we can look at the top 3 cards for a spell. 1, 2, 3. And actually, anytime with search their deck, they may either go 3 deeper or take an additional target. I think we'll use Mandy's ability and send Jacqueline 3 deep. Yeah, 3 deeper. I want to get her some investigation ability as well. So first up for Jacqueline, Word of command. This could be useful to help us get that investigation. Name a spell card, search your deck for one copy of the named card and draw it, shuffling your deck. Although we'd have to discard something due to slot pressure. Second card. Read the signs, which is another spell. It's a one-time, though. Investigate plus will. You may ignore any effect or keyword on your location which would trigger during the investigation. If you succeed, discover one additional clue. Next up. Occult theory, which we can't take. Another read the signs. Drawn to the flame, which we can't take, but I wish we could. And unspeakable oath, bloodthirst, which I want nothing to do with anyway. So those three are going back in. I think I'll take word of command. Actually, I'll take word of command because that'll let me go get anything. That'll let me go get any spell I need. It's the kind of thing I like about that card. It's basically, hey, what do you need in the moment? You can go get it. What we need now, though, are more clues. And to cut a Jacqueline's deck. That will do it for Jacqueline. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Organist is very much evaded, so we'll so we'll go ahead and ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 2. Jacqueline draws. Cyclopean Hammer. Ooh, level 5. 5 cost to play, though. 2 will, 2 combat and commit. Fight plus will to your skill value for the attack. Deal plus 1 damage. If you succeed and the enemy is non-elite, you may move it 1 location away from you. If you succeed by 3 or more, you instead deal plus 2 damage and may move the enemy up to 2 locations away from you. Hella expensive, though. Mandy draws. Occult Evidence. Mandy Thompson deck only. 0 cost to play, wildcard on commit. Shuffle it back into your deck, and as a reaction, when you search your deck and Occult Evidence is among the searched cards, reveal it, draw it and discover 1 clue at your location, max 1 research ability per search. Mythos phase, we go up to 4 doom on the agenda. We need 6 to advance, remember. Jacqueline draws. Twisted Suns. Revelation test lore 4. If you fail, you must either remove 1 doom from the current agenda, or take 1 horror for each point you failed by. The implication spoils what would otherwise be a lovely sunset. Right now, Jacqueline is down 1. I will commit... I'm going to commit Medicio della Peste to get her to even. What can Mandy do for that? Mandy's going to give her Occult Evidence to get her up 1, and I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability behind this. Those are all unexhausted. Alright, so now we're into the bag. Jacqueline's pulling 3 tokens. We're up 1, drawing 3. One, two, three. Alright. First token up. A -2, that's bad. Token 2. Another -2, and a skull, which right now is a -4, so we cancel 2 of those. For a -2, we fail by 1. I'll take 1. Actually, hold on. Jacqueline was at base 3, 4, 5. -2 brings her to 3, so she fails by 1. Jacqueline can take a horror from that, though. I can deal with that. Those all go away. Mandy draws. Torturous Chords. Revelation test will 5. If you fail, put Torturous Chords into your threat area with 1 resource on it for each point you failed by. Each time you play a card, increase the cost of that card by 1 and remove 1 resource from Torturous Chords. If it has no resources, discard it. Mandy right now is down 2. She's going to commit... Jacqueline is going to commit Arcane Studies to get Mandy up to even. Right. Right, so we don't have Jacqueline's ability to put behind this. Mandy's testing it even. A 0, so we get clear of that. Which means that goes away, thankfully. That'll do it for the Mythos phase. We're going to be busy in the Mythos phase, though, so we're going to exhaust the Arcane Initiate. Jacqueline is going to go for 2 targets this time, and they have to be spells. So first up we find Power Word, which we can only attach to a non-elite enemy at our location. We have a bunch of commands with that, though. It is a spell, though, so we can take it. Next, the Black Book, which we can't take. Not that I'm sure I would anyway. And Storm of Spirits. So we do get Power Word and Storm of Spirits. Those are both spells. I'll go through them when we actually play them. When we actually play one of them out. We'll give this a shuffle. Alright, then Mandy's going to exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a skill from under it. She will draw. Eureka. Will, Lore, Agility on Commit. If the skill test is successful, the investigator performing the test draws the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, or searches the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles their deck. Alright, and we used Mandy's special ability to get Jacqueline Power Word and Storm of Spirits. So that'll do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now, and I want to try to put some distance between myself and the organist. So Mandy will start us off in her play area. Action 1, Mandy's going to take a resource. Action 2, she's going to spend all 3 of them to play out her Pathfinder, if I can ever find it. Here we are. Searchers after horror haunt strange, far places. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dreams in the Picture in the House. Then we'll exhaust Pathfinder, and that will take us over to the map. Pathfinder will bring Mandy up to Gare d'Orsay. Then for Action 3, she'll move up to Opera Garnier. The Palais Garnier is an ornate architectural masterpiece and one of the most famous opera houses in the world. Strangely, you find the main doors thrown wide open and a dark mist creeps out from the doorway. This flips into Shroud of 6, 2 clues. While you're investigating Opera Garnier, double the base value of your skill. A trail of blood leads up the grand staircase. Deep, cold mist envelops the room. You get the unmistakable feeling that there is something inhuman in the opera house. We'll get the 2 clues out for that. That's it for Mandy. Jacqueline, her turn is going to be very simple since I'm trying to keep distance from the organist. We're going to move up 1 to Gare d'Orsay, 2 to Opera Garnier to join Mandy. I am going to spend 2 clues as a group as well, so we can put another Doom on the agenda. We are advancing the agenda in this coming Mythos phase. Then for Action 3, I'm going to... Actually, yeah, it was Action 1, Action 2. Action 3, I think we'll just take a resource so we have our options open for next turn. That will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Organist moves to... Let me make sure these are both equidistant paths. I think they are, yes. So the Organist moves to the Gardens of Luxembourg. Since it's still not engaged, it moves over to Gare d'Orsay, and it can't attack this round. Not that there was anybody there to attack anyway, but we'll unexhaust our ladies, reset everything, and then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 6. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 1. Jacqueline draws. Another word of command. That could be useful. Mandy draws. Mob Enforcer, which is not useful. Prey Bearer only. 4/3/3. It's a hunter. As an action, spend 4 resources, parlay, to discard Mob Enforcer. You knew you shouldn't have borrowed money from the O'Banion gang. It seems like they're always looking to collect at the worst times. 1 damage on attack. Delightful. Mythos phase, we are advancing the agenda. First night. Let's see what this flips into. Daybreak. Birds start to chirp eagerly. An orange tint slowly spreads around the sky as the creatures of the night shrink back into the darkness. You spend most of the day resting, and the daylight passes quickly with very little to show for it. Before you are able to recover from the previous night's events, it is evening once more. Each investigator disengages from each enemy engaged with him or her, and may move to a connecting location. Move the Organist 1 location away from the nearest investigator to a location with no investigators if possible. So let's move over. Actually, we'll do that. We'll move over to the map before we start the investigation phase, so I can point out where everything is. Let's see, there, and we'll do this. Which is kind of bad, but once again, we're going to do a little bit of work at the map before we start the next investigation phase. So let's look at Agenda 2A, the second night. The city stirs as the cold shadows embrace the streets. There is danger all around you. Danger that you cannot escape. Danger that will follow you to the ends of the earth. When will this waking nightmare end? And we have the same clause about, well, you have more conviction than doubt, but we only need 5 doom to advance this time. Jacqueline draws. Hunting Shadow. You must either choose one. Spend a clue or take 2 damage. Take a look at the flavor text there. A shadowy figure follows you in the rain. When you look at it, your head pounds in agony and your vision blurs. We do have to take 2 damage because Jacqueline doesn't have any clues to spend. And then Mandy will draw. Twisted to his will. If there's no doom in play, and there's not, this gains Surge. So Mandy now draws. Swift Bayaki, which is going to be engaged with her. We saw this earlier. Now, before we start the investigation phase, we're actually going to be a little bit busy. So Jacqueline will exhaust the Arcane Initiate. Actually, I think we're good for the time being, actually. So we won't exhaust the Arcane Initiate just yet because we don't need to. Mandy, however, will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to get the last skill from under it. She will draw. Another copy of Eureka. Now we'll move over to the map to do our little bit of maintenance on the map from advancing the agenda. Alright, first thing we had to do, the Organist was up over here at Gare d'Orsay. We moved it down to Montparnasse. So we got away from it that way. The Mob Enforcer also stayed up at Opera Garnier, and then up at Garnier, and then we moved Jacqueline and Mandy up to Grand Guignol. Theater of the Great Puppet. Le Théâtre du Grand Guignol, that's probably my horrendous French, specializes in horror shows of a graphic and sometimes amoral nature. It is among the smallest venues in Paris and one of the most popular. That flips into Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Forced. After you reveal it, you must either take 2 horror or shuffle all non-weakness cards from your hand into your deck, then draw an equal number of cards. I'm going to rule that only the lead investigator has to do that, so Jacqueline. It seems the theater is performing a show about insanity. You wonder if they have ever performed The King in Yellow. I think we're going to take the 2 horror ourselves. I do have to remember that we have 1 fewer sanity, but we can take 2 horror in this case, because I want to be able to protect her hand. That will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now, and I think Jacqueline's going to do a little bit of punching, so let's move down to her play area. For Action 1, I'm taking a bit of a risk, but I have a plan here. Question is, what order do I want to do this in? I think... Well, I have to move down to take out the Mob Enforcer, which could be a bad idea, but I think the way we're going to do this is Action 1, she's going to exhaust Twila to keep a charge on Shriveling. We're going to aim at the Swift Bayaki. The question is, do I want to put Jacqueline's ability behind it? The plan I had with Jacqueline was I was going to go down and try to take out the Mob Enforcer, and for that I probably will need Jacqueline's special ability. But I don't want to hit Mandy for 3 damage, because that would be nothing short of catastrophic here, because friendly fire is a thing in this game. Yeah, I think I am going to throw Jacqueline's special ability behind this, and in addition, Mandy will give her a Eureka. So 6, 9, 10 to 2, Jacqueline's up 8, and drawing 3 tokens. This is probably way overkill, but we're going to go with it. 1, 2, 3. Token 1 is the Tentacle, so we'll have to cancel that. Token 2 is the Elder Thing, which means we are taking 2 horror, and... Jeez, 2 Elder Things and a Tentacle. So we do have to cancel the Tentacles, just so we don't fail, which means that's a -4. We don't fail, we were up by a lot, but Jacqueline does take 2 more horror, which is not great. The Bayaki is at least dead, and Jacqueline gets to search the top 3 cards of her deck for a card. I'm going to send her 3 deeper, because I really want Arbiter of Fates soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First card up. Ask, and ye shall receive. There's Arbiter of Fates. I think one of these... The rest of these... Something in here needs to be a doozy for me to not just snap take Arbiter of Fates. Let's see what we've got here. Man in the Pallid Mask, not a doozy. Well, a bad doozy. Drawn to the Flame. That could be interesting. I'll consider that for maybe like a fraction of a second. Lost Soul, also a bad doozy. Clasp of Black Onyx, coming for all the weaknesses, and Dark Future. Well, 4 weaknesses that I'm most definitely not taking. Probably a good thing I went 6 deep instead of taking 2 targets. This is a tough one. Do I want Arbiter of Fates? Or do I want Drawn to the Flame? Honestly, I didn't expect it would be this tough a decision. We're going to have to probably let the Mob Enforcer hit us this turn, but I think Mandy's fine with that. I mean, that is a 6 Shroud. I think we are still going to take Arbiter of Fates, though. We'll take a quick look at Arbiter of Fates. 3 cost to play. Will, Agility, Wildcard on Commit. Jacqueline, Find Deck only. As a reaction, when you use Jacqueline Fine's special ability, Exhaust Arbiter of Fates, this use of her ability does not count toward its limit. I suspect we'll be going through the flavor text on that in a second, though, because I expect we're going to be playing it. Action 2, I think we are going to go ahead and play Arbiter of Fates. I can see the threads. I know when they will snap. Let's hope so, Jacqueline. We'll put that there. And then for Action 3, she doesn't really have a great Action 3 right now, does she? Attached to a non-elite enemy at your location. We could probably use that to hold the mob enforcer at bay, but I think Action 3 is just going to be to investigate, see if we can get a clue off this location. We are at even, but I will exhaust. I need another exhaustion token over here, which I've got this. Actually, no, I'm going to need that one in a second. I've got this one, so I'll put Jacqueline's ability behind this investigation. So it's just a basic investigate. We're at even. Actually, before we go into the bag, I think Mandy will give her a Eureka to put her up 1. So we're up 1 and drawing 3 tokens. That should be 1, 2, 3. Oop. Okay. Well, I've got 3 that I can reveal. So token 1 is a -2. Remember, we're only up 1, so we don't have a lot of minus to play with. A 0, which we can probably keep, and a 0. So we'll cancel a 0 and one of the -2s. Jacqueline will get that clue, and then she'll get to go searching the top 3 for a card. First up, we'll find the Black Book, which we saw earlier, and we couldn't take it because we were using the Arcane Initiate to search. Drawn to the Flame, which now we might take, and the Chthonian Stone, Stygian Waymark. 2 cost to play, Lore, Will on Commit. Seal a bad symbol, except the tentacle. Uses 3 charges. If it has no charges, return it to your hand. After you reveal a tentacle symbol during a skill test, remove 1 charge from the Chthonian Stone, but it's a hand slot. I think here I am going to take Drawn to the Flame, though, which will give us the top card of the encounter deck, but then 2 clues at the location. Anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. I'll meet you guys over at Mandy's play area after I change my battery. Action 1 for Mandy. She's going to try to get that last clue off of the Grand Guignol. So she's up 2. A 0 gets the last clue, which will immediately spend 2 clues as a group to put a doom on the agenda. Action 2, she's going to take a resource, and then Action 3, she'll discard this Eon chart to slot pressure to play out a fresh Eon chart. I'm only going to get 2 charges for that one, because we're going to exhaust that and make our way over to the map. I am going to split Mandy and Jacqueline up a little bit, but I'm going to achieve 2 things with this. I'm going to reveal these 2 locations in the process, and I'm going to force the Mob Enforcer to move where Jacqueline can intercept him. Plus, the Organist can actually move toward either Investigator, because it's equidistant for where from where Mandy's going to end up. So, let's start with our first move action over to Montmartre. You've heard this district to be vibrant and friendly, but the streets feel unusually lonely to you. Flips into Shroud of 3, 2 clues. As an action, reveal the top card of each investigator's deck. You may play an asset revealed by this effect, paying its cost under your control. Shuffle each investigator's deck, group limit once per round. Cold rain pelts the street. Every alleyway you pass is another hiding place for something sinister. We'll get the 2 clues for that. And then Mandy will move up to Canal Saint-Martin. Again, my French is terrible, most likely. This underground canal connects the river Seine to the Canal de l'Ourcq. An old cracked staircase leads down the canal's entrance. Flips into Shroud of 4, 2 clues. Reaction: after you evade an enemy at Canal Saint-Martin, move that enemy to a connecting location. Group limit once per round, victory 1. Okay, that will do it for Mandy. I forgot to flip Jacqueline over, but that will also do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the mob enforcer is looking for Mandy, so he's going to move to Montmartin. Then the organist moves, and we can move him either way. We can move 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to send him... I'm actually going to send him toward Mandy, because she's got a little bit more mobility available to her. So we're going to move 1, 2. I'm taking a little bit of a gamble here, though, because if Jacqueline should be able to kill that mob enforcer on her turn. I think so. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. So we can go ahead and reset everything. Right. I forgot to flip over Mandy's last action, but that's not important right now. Unexhaust, 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 and then that one won't matter. Now we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 1. Jacqueline draws. The Man in the Pallid Mask. Oh, fantastic. 4/3/4. Spawn location farthest from all investigators, aloof. As an action, investigate. Your location gets +2 Shroud for this investigation. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, defeat the Man in the Pallid Mask. Indeed, it's time. We have all laid aside a disguise but you. Robert W. Chambers, the Mask, the King in Yellow. He's going to go to the exact same place the organist was at earlier, down in Montparnasse. Then Mandy draws. Hiking boots. 2 cost to play, agility on commit. Limit 1 footwear per investigator, +1 agility. After the last clue is discovered from your location, exhaust hiking boots to move to a connecting location with at least 1 clue or to a connecting unrevealed location. Mythos phase brings us up to 2 Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Hunting Shadow. Uh-oh, we gotta be careful now. You must either choose one, spend a clue, or take 2 damage. We had this earlier. Jacqueline had the same result then that she does now. She's got to take 2 damage. And then Mandy draws. The Sign of Big Yellow. Peril. Revelation. Attach the Sign of Big Yellow to either the current agenda or the current act. Limit 1 per agenda or act. Forced. Each time an investigator takes 1 or more horror, he or she takes 1 additional. Yikes. Alright, that could be a problem, but I am going to attach that to the agenda, because I'm hoping I'll be able to advance that in decent time, but that will do it for the Mythos phase. At the start of the round, as a fast action, I'm going to spend 2 clues to put another Doom on the current agenda. So, with that, we're into the investigation phase now, and what to do. Is our plan going to go into action? I think it's going to have to at this point, so Jacqueline's turn will take us over to the map. Action 1, Jacqueline is going to move down to Montmartre and make friends with the mob enforcer. Action 2, she's going to exhaust Twila to keep a charge on Shriveling to try to take out the mob enforcer. And I'm going to exhaust Arbiter of Fates as well, so Jacqueline can use her special ability on this one. She's at a 5, 6, 9 to 4. She's up 5, and I'm pulling 3 tokens. That should be fine. One, two, three. All right, first token up for Jacqueline. The Tentacle, which we need to cancel. The Elder Sign, which unfortunately we're going to have to keep. We'll take a look at that in a second. And a -2. That should still be enough to pass, but let's take a look at Jacqueline's Elder Sign. +1, if this effect is canceled or ignored, draw 1 card. Unfortunately, we do have to cancel the Tentacle, which means that nets out to a -1. Jacqueline does not take the 2 horror, but the mob enforcer has been defeated, thankfully. Then action 3, as much as I want to leave Jacqueline there, taking 4 horror does not sound like fun to me, so I'm going to move her over to Opera Garnier. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn is going to start by exhausting Eon Chart to take 2 basic investigates. And she's up 1. Yeah, I think that's where she's got a test. So up 1 for both of these. Elder Sign gives her a search, which I'm going to go 6 deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, first card up. You handle this one. And remember, I can either draw the card or commit it to the test. Second up. Shocking Discovery. Never mind. So we'll take a quick look at Shocking Discovery. On a revelation, shuffle it back into your deck, and if you can't, discard it and draw the top card of the encounter deck instead. But when you search your deck and this card is among the searched cards, discard it. Cancel the search and all of its effects. Shuffle the searched deck, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so we'll give that a... Alright, so we've used that, and Mandy draws the top card of the encounter deck. She draws Spires of Carcosa. Attach to your location, then place 2 doom on it. If there's no doom on the attached location, discard Spires of Carcosa. As an action, investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues here, remove 1 doom from the attached location. Well, that kind of slows my plan down. But she does still get a clue, so we're at net 1 doom to advance. And I can take any investigate. So I'm going to take the investigate on Spires of Carcosa. She's still up 1. That's a 0, so we get to take another clue off of, or another doom off of Spires of Carcosa. Wait, let's put that Elder Sign back in the bag and we'll draw that again. I didn't realize it was still out. So we're still up 1. Elder Thing is -2. If you fail, lose a point for each resource you lose a resource for each point you fail by, so that doom goes back up. That's bringing us down to net 1 doom. That's gross. I think we can take 1 more investigate. And I'm going to go for the clue. Yeah, I'm going to go for the clue. Because I want to get back to being 2 locations away. I want to try to stay 2 locations away from the organist. Another Elder thing. Alright, well, we're going to put the clues on hold right now. Pathfinder over to Montmartre. And then Action 3 will move over to Opera Garnier. That will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the organist is going to move over to Montmartre. And then up to Opera Garnier. I'll give him to Mandy because we're going to have to... First thing we're going to have to do is evade him. But he can't attack because we had to resolve his hunter keyword twice. So let's reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 1. Jacqueline draws. Clairvoyance level 5. 4 cost to play. Will 2 lore on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action, spend a charge to investigate using will instead of lore. You get plus 3 will for this investigation. And if you succeed, instead of discover 2 additional clues at your location. But if you pull a good symbol, take 2 horror, which would be 3 right now because of the sign of Big Yellow. Mandy draws. Dr. Milan Christopher, where have you been? 4 cost to play, lore on commit. You get plus 1 lore. And after you successfully investigate, gain a resource. 1 and 2 on soak. Mythos phase, we put our 4th doom on the agenda, but we're at net 2 because of Spires of Carcosa. Jacqueline draws. Marked by the sign, peril, revelation, test will 2. If you fail, take 2 horror. If the man in the pallid mask is in play, he is. Horror dealt by this effect is considered direct, and this test has plus 2 difficulty. Yikes. We're at 6 to 4, and the horror would be direct. I think we're going to leave Arbiter of Fates exhausted so we can draw 3 tokens, because I don't particularly want to take 3 horror from this, but I'm going to need at least 1 use of the ability to try to evade the organist. Yeah, I think I have enough that I can... I'm going to have to, like I said, I'm going to have to put Jacqueline's ability behind the evade on the organist. Actually, we're up 2. Does Jacqueline have any will that I want to give to this? Yeah, we can actually give her... We can actually use Occult Theory to go up... That's will icons equal to her lore, which is 3, so that's going to... Which means we probably don't need that then. So we're at 6, 9 to 4, we're up 5. Elder Thing does not fail Jacqueline, so we're all clear there. Mandy draws. Hunting Shadow. She either has to spend a clue or take 2 damage. She will spend the clue. We've got a couple of pairs out there. I'm hoping there'll be a way to replenish clues, but I'm not betting on that. But that will do it for the... Actually, no, I think we're going to take the 2 damage from that one. I'm not real happy about that, but I think that's the better play right now. Investigation phase next, and Mandy's first order of business in her play area needs to be to evade the organist. The way she's going to try to do that is she's going to spend the last charge of her Eon chart. Her first action is going to be her first action from that's going to be an evasion. She's currently even. I'll commit the hiking boots to bring her up 1. I don't think Jacqueline has many agility icons in her deck. She does not. Nope. But I am going to put Jacqueline's ability behind this, so she's up 1, but we're at least drawing 3 tokens. One, two, three. Token 1 is a -2. Token 2 is a +1. And the skull. So we can cancel the skull and the -2, revealing the +1, and the organist is evaded. Which means, I'm going to take a look here. Okay, I think we'll be fine. So I think the second action from Eon Chart will take us over to the map. Eon Chart will take us up to Montmartre, and then we'll exhaust Pathfinder to get back to Canal Saint-Martin. Then for actual action 1, Mandy's going to investigate. What do I want to investigate? The canal or... Well, somebody's not happy about something. Sorry, I'm probably not going to be able to cut that, but action 1 is going to be to investigate, and she's going to go for... She's going to go for the clue first. We're up 1. Do I have any lore I can commit to this? I think we're going to have to commit Milan to go up 2, as much as I don't like the plan. Up 2 is thankfully enough, because that was a -1, which will give us the clue. Then as a fast action, I'm going to spend 2 clues to put a doom on the agenda. And then with the organist evaded, I'm going to investigate. I'm going to try to investigate to get 1 doom off of Spires of Carcosa, because that means after we put a doom on the agenda, we'd net out to 5 and we'd advance. So Mandy's up 1, trying to get a clue off, a doom off the Spires of Carcosa. Skull will not do it, though. Action 3, yeah, let's run it back. We've basically got a free turn here with the organist evaded. Skull still won't do it. That's unfortunate. That will do it for Mandy. That'll do it for Mandy. Jacqueline's turn. She's going to start action 1 by finding herself. Actually, how is she going to start it? Double the base value of your skill. I think she's actually going to play Clairvoyance for 4 resources. We'll discard the Enchanted Bow to slot pressure, but I'm not going anywhere with those charges. So we're plus 3 will. We use will instead of lore. Plus 3 will, and discover 2 additional clues. But if we pull a good symbol, we take 2 horror. I'll get the 3 charges for that. Then action 2, I'm going to exhaust Twila to keep a charge on Clairvoyance, which brings her up to, which doubles the base value of her skill. She's using will instead of lore, which is 6, 12. She gets plus 3 from Clairvoyance for 15. 15 to... That'll be 15 to 6. And I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability behind it. So we're trying to get these clues. One, two, three. Right. First up, a -2. We're definitely up a lot that the -2 doesn't scare us. A 0 and A -1. So we cancel the -2 and the 0. I want to cancel the 0 because of clairvoyance, but that will get Jacqueline both clues off of the location. Let's see, that was action 1 was to play clairvoyance, action 2 was to investigate, action 3 will be to move Jacqueline up to Montmartre. She can come up and help Mandy with Spires of Carcosa next turn, but that will do it for, actually that's once per round, isn't it? Okay, so I gotta check something else here. I'm wondering, there might be I'm wondering if there's a free action, or free, basically like a fast action window is what I'm looking for. Okay, the fast action window doesn't come until after the Doom gets put up and the threshold is checked. So that's kind of what I figured, but couldn't hurt to look. Anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the man in the pallid mask is not a hunter, and the organist is exhausted. So we'll ready everything. Actually, before we do that, before we leave the enemy phase, I'm going to exhaust the Arcane Initiate. I keep forgetting I've got her. To look at the top 3 cards of Jacqueline's deck for a spell. So first card up is Read the Signs, which we could take. Investigate plus Will. Next card up, Shriveling level 5, which we already have 1 of in play and our Arcane slots are full. And Emergency Cache. I'm going to take Read the Signs off of that. And now we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 2, as does Mandy. Jacqueline draws. Another Read the Signs, which could be handy. I'll finish unexhausting Jacqueline's cards. And then Mandy draws. Burning the Midnight Oil. 0 cost to play. Lore Agility on commit. Investigate when this action begins. Gain 2 resources. Mythos phase, we go up to 6 Doom on the agenda, but we're net 4 because of Spires of Carcosa. Jacqueline draws. A Praying Bayaki. 2, 3, 5. Pray lowest remaining sanity only, Hunter. While engaged with an investigator with a remaining sanity 4 or fewer, and it is, swap Praying Bayaki's fight and evade values. 2 and 1. We need to take that thing out pronto. Mandy draws. Deadly Fate. Test Will 3. If you fail, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until an enemy is discarded. You must either draw that enemy or that enemy attacks you from the discard pile. If no enemy is discarded, take 1 horror instead. Mandy is at even. Does she have any will she can commit to this? She does have blood right, and I kind of think I have to commit this. So we are up 1, which is not a great spot to be in. A 0 is enough, though, so we do discard Deadly Fate. That will do it for the Mythos phase. And before we move into the investigation phase, Jacqueline will exhaust the Arcane Initiate, looking for a spell. First spell she'll find. Or first card she'll find is the Crystal Pendulum, which she can't take. Enchanted Bow she can. And Internal Injury, so it's the Enchanted Bow. We discarded that earlier due to slot pressure. Speaking of Jacqueline, we have to move down to her play area. First order of business is getting rid of this Bayaki. We're exhausting Twilla for Action 1 to keep a charge on Shriveling, and I'm throwing Jacqueline's ability behind this. So Jacqueline is at 5, 8, actually 6, 9 to 5. She's up 4, and I'm drawing 3 tokens. One, two, three. Okay. Token 1 is a -1. Token 2, a 0. And token 3, the tentacle. So we do have to cancel the tentacle, but the 0 and the -1 combine to a -1. Bayaki is very dead. Then as a fast action, we're going to spend a clue to put a doom on the agenda. Would I rather put a... Actually, we are going to be advancing anyway here. So I think the better play would be to just... I think let's automatically evade the Organist, because we are putting our 7th doom on the agenda, which will net out to 5 thanks to Spires of Carcosa. So we'll automatically evade the... the Organist instead. Action 2. Let's see, what do I want to do for Action 2? I think we'll actually just pop a charge of... We want to pop a charge of Clairvoyance to investigate? Yeah, I think we will. We'll pop a charge of Clairvoyance to investigate, and I'll put Jacqueline's ability behind this. So she's at a 9 to 3, she's up 6, and I'm drawing 3 tokens. One, two, three. Token 1, -2. Token 2, another -2, and token 3, a -1. So we'll cancel the 2 -2s. No horror is in effect, so Jacqueline gets both clues off the location, which means we're all set there. And then action 3 will take us over to the map. Given that we're getting rid of Spires of Carcosa anyway, I think Jacqueline will actually move to Lumere. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy will move... Well, actually, Mandy will Pathfinder over to Père Lachaise Cemetery. We'll take a look at this. The largest cemetery in Paris, and its first garden cemetery. Père Lachaise is as beautiful as it is haunting. This flips into Shroud of 1, 2 clues, or 4 clues. Forced. After you successfully investigate Père Lachaise Cemetery, you cannot leave it until the end of the round. Paths of stone wind through rows of graves and countless mausoleums. The dense, twisting cemetery has you trapped in a state of melancholy, surrounded by death on all sides. Victory 1. We'll get the 4 clues out for that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think Mandy just goes to work here. So action 1, she will play Burning the Midnight Oil to gain 2 resources for her investigation. She's up 4. Elder Thing, as we saw, is a -2. It gets her a clue, but Mandy can't leave the location until the end of the round, which I'm fine with. Action 2, she'll run the investigate back, still at 4. A 0 gets her another clue. And action 3 will run the investigate back. Skull is actually a -5, which shockingly is enough to fail Mandy, but that's not a huge problem in the grand scheme of things. We got 2 clues there, and Jacqueline can come get them without investigating. But that will do it for Mandy, that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Man in the Pallid Mask is not a hunter, the organist is exhausted. So we'll reset everything. Unexhaust, 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 and then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 5. Jacqueline draws. Crystal Pendulum. 2 cost to play, will on commit. You get +1 will, and if your skill tested, your location begins. Exhaust Crystal Pendulum. Name a number. If the test succeeds or fails by that number, draw 1 card. Let me check her hand size real quick, but I think she's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. She's actually got to discard 2 cards, which I'll discard the Crystal Pendulum and the Enchanted Bow. Mandy draws. Research Librarian, 2 cost to play, agility on commit. Reaction after he enters play, search your deck for a tome asset and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Mythos phase, we put our 7th Doom on the agenda, which nets out to 5 because of Spires of Carcosa, and we do advance. Which means Spires of Carcosa gets discarded, and then we advance to the second night. Or we advance the second night. Oop. A red sun rises. To your relief, the sun once again begins to rise, peaking just over the eastern horizon and casting long shadows across the city streets. You are completely exhausted from the night's events. It feels as though you haven't slept in weeks. Perhaps you haven't. Each investigator disengages from each enemy engaged with him or her and may move to a connecting location. Move the organist 1 location away from the nearest investigator to a location with no investigators if possible. Check the campaign log. If Jordan Perry is not listed under the VIP's slain, search the collection for Jordan Perry, an imposing presence, and spawn him in Montparnasse. Well, we also lose the sign of Big Yellow. Let's see. 1 location away, I think, is Gare d'Orsay for the organist. Okay, now that we've got that straight, we go into the third night. On the evening of your third night in Paris, a desperate resolve stirs within you. This cat and mouse game cannot go on any longer. One way or another, this night will end, and it's still got the same clause there. Jacqueline draws. Deadly Fate, Revelation testing will 3. We saw Mandy duck this earlier. Jacqueline's also up 3. She can probably take an enemy attack. Although I was planning on having Jacqueline come over and get those clues without having to investigate. Up 3 should be fine, actually. Let me see if there's anything I want to do to maybe make that a little easier. There. I'm not going to need both these read the signs. I'm actually going to commit one of them to go up 4. Elder Thing is a -2, which is not enough, which wouldn't have been enough to fail her even before I committed read the signs. And then Mandy draws. Torturous Chords, Revelation Test Lore 5. We saw this earlier, and Mandy was able to duck it then. Unfortunately, she's down 2. I don't know how much we're playing, though. How much we're going to be playing the rest of the scenario, but let's go ahead and test this anyway, just to see how bad it is. -2 means Mandy fails by 4, so we'll get 4 resources out for that. It's the first time I get to show off these fancy resource tokens from Orbits. Official, these are the aforementioned fancy resources. So Mandy will have to basically pay 1 extra cost, 1 extra resource for every card she plays for the next 4 cards that she plays. That will do it for the investigation, for the Mythos phase. Before we leave the Mythos phase, Jacqueline's actually going to exhaust the Arcane Initiate, searching the top 3 for a spell. I'd like to get a little bit of protection from the Mythos deck. So first up we'll find Ward of Protection level 2, that will do nicely. Next up, Occult Theory and Storm of Spirits. I mostly don't want to get surprised by the Mythos deck here, because I know there's at least 1 more Spires of Carcosa in that deck. So that's why I'm going to take the Ward of Protection here. So now the goal is basically just to last at most, I think 3 more rounds is what we have to last yet, because we have 4 clues between us right now. Jacqueline can go get the other 2 at the cemetery. Then, which will basically give us 2 doom per round, because we'll put one on the agenda from the clues, and then we'll put another one at the start of round. So I think we're all set there. So let's say we go meet Jacqueline over at the map. For action 1, Jacqueline will move over to Père Lachaise Cemetery. Action 2, I was actually thinking about getting cute and using Drawn to the Flame, but I don't think I need it. Instead, I'm going to exhaust Twila to keep a charge on Clairvoyance and throw her special ability behind this. I don't mind Jacqueline not leaving the location this round. In fact, keeping them both away from the Organist as long as we can is probably very welcome here. So Jacqueline is 6-9 to 1. She's up 8 and drawing 3 tokens. Mostly because I want to make sure this passes. One, two, three. First token up. The Elder Sign. We'll take a look at Jacqueline. Actually, we looked at Jacqueline's Elder Sign earlier. I want to cancel this if I can. A 0. Actually, I kind of... Right. Actually, this will be good to cancel that. And the Elder thing. So I'm actually going to cancel the 0 and the Elder Sign, mostly so I can draw a card, because the Elder Sign is being canceled or ignored. And a -2 is hardly enough to fail me there. So Jacqueline gets both clues, which she'll immediately spend to put a doom up on the agenda. And then Jacqueline draws a card from ignoring her Elder Signs. She draws Spectral Razor. So we've got all kinds of ways to defend herself now. That's basically fight plus will, and deal +1 damage +2 if the enemy is non-elite. Then for action 3, I think Jacqueline will just take a resource. We don't really have much else we're doing right now. Mandy's turn is going to be most likely super simple, I think. Mandy's going to draw a card. She will draw Empirical Hypothesis, which we saw earlier. She's going to draw another card. She will draw the Eye of Truth. This might actually be really handy as well. And action 3, she's just going to take a resource. That will do it for Mandy. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Organist moves to Opera Garnier and then up to Montmartre. Not that he'd be able to attack anyway. I forgot to flip over Jacqueline. The man in the pallid mask, of course, remains not a hunter, so he can't move. So I'll reset everything over here in Jacqueline's play area, along with flipping the two of them over. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 7. Jacqueline draws another Spectral Razor. Let me check her hand size. She's probably going to have to discard. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. She will discard Spectral Razor. And actually, she'll discard both her copies of Spectral Razor. 6, 7, 8. Yep. And then Mandy draws another Research Librarian, which might be handy on Soak Detail. Mythos phase, we go up to 2 Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws Marked by the Sign. We saw this earlier. Jacqueline will... she's base up 2. I think we'll put her special ability behind it. I was thinking about canceling this, but I'd rather have the cancel in hand for Spires of Carcosa if that comes back up. So we're drawing 3 tokens and we're up 2. One, two, three. First token up. The Elder Sign. Second, the Tentacle, which we'll have to cancel, and a 0. So we do have to cancel the Tentacle, but we do pass the test. So that's the important part here. That's gone. Mandy draws Frozen in Fear. Revelation, put it into play in her threat area. The first time she performs one of the following actions: move, fight, or evade. Each round it costs 1 additional action. Forced at the end of your turn, test Will 3. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. That might not be that bad. The only thing it'll do is it probably will make sure that we can't also investigate the man in the pallid mask's location. That's probably still fine, though. We can at least get down to him. We're going to have to play a little bit of patty cake with him, but the question is, can Jacqueline get down there and be able to assist on the test? We definitely have options to deal with the man in the pallid mask. A Storm of Spirits there, an accidental Storm of Spirits there would take out the man in the pallid mask. But I'm kind of rambling here. Before we leave the Mythos phase, Jacqueline will exhaust the Arcane... Actually, does she need to exhaust the Arcane Initiate? She doesn't, I don't think. And we can always use Word of Command to go get another Ward of Protection if I think I need it. But I think we're going to leave the Arcane Initiate unexhausted for the time being. That will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase, and let's say we meet the ladies over at the map. Both of their turns are going to go the same way, but we're going to take slightly different routes to get there. Jacqueline will go first. Action 1, she'll move... Oh, wait a minute. That's a problem. I forgot Jacqueline can't... I forgot once you move into Le Marais, we can't leave. So that's actually a small problem. I did not think of that. So I think what we do instead is we plan on letting the Organist come to us. Yeah, we let the Organist come to us, and then we try to evade him that way. Actually, what else we could do... We move the enemy... Oh, that's only if it's non-elite. Okay, so I didn't think of... I forgot about Le Marais preventing us from moving. if we move into it. So I think we have to let him come to us and then try to evade him. Which is going to require Mandy finding some more agility pronto. So I think with that in mind, Jacqueline... Ugh. I think Jacqueline just takes resources right now. So she'll go up to... She's at 5. She'll go up to 8. I forgot about Lumade being right there. That was a total derp on my part. So he's going to have to come to us, and then we're going to have to clear out of there, kind of take the long way around. As for Mandy, she's going to draw a card. I want to try to get some more agility commits. Mandy will find. I've got a plan, which is not completely terrible. It's not helpful right now. Action 2, she'll draw a card. Mandy will draw. Burning the Midnight Oil, which is an agility commit. In Action 3, she'll draw again. She will draw. Another Pathfinder. This will be very helpful to have. I'm hoping I can use it for its actual purpose, because that way we can keep them both moving, but that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Organist moves into us. I'll give him to Mandy. Actually, before we do that, we got to test Will 3 to try to get rid of Frozen in Fear. I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability behind this since Mandy's testing it even. I'm going to throw Jacqueline's special ability behind this. One, 2, 3. Okay, got him. Token 1 is a 0. Token 2, a skull, which right now is a -2, and a -1. So we'll cancel the skull and the -1. The 0 means Mandy discards Frozen in Fear. That's it for the investigation phase. Now the enemy phase, the Organist moves over to us and will make friends with Mandy. He doesn't attack because he had to move twice. Alright, so that brings us into that'll mean we ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 9. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 8. Jacqueline draws. Internal injury, great. At the end of her turn, she's got to take a direct damage, 2 actions to discard it. Mandy draws. Amnesia, oh geez. Choose and discard all but 1 card from your hand. Well, I think here it's going to be Pathfinder. Then I got to check Jacqueline's hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, Jacqueline's still clear. We need Pathfinder too much to try to get Mandy moving. Into the Mythos phase, 3rd Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. The Pale Mask beckons. If the man in the pallid mask is in play, he attacks each investigator in player order, regardless of his location. If the man in the pallid mask is not in play, which he is, so he's going to attack each investigator, he'll attack Jacqueline for 1 horror, which she can take. And Mandy can also take that. And then Mandy draws. Stealthy Bayaki. 5/2/3 Hunter. While it's exhausted, it gets -3 fight. If you can hear the beating of its leathery wings, it's already too late. 2 damage, 1 horror on attack. Delightful. So, let's see, we're at 3. Either way, we're going to have another round. So, I think what I want to do here is... Let's see. Well, the thing is, if we survive the Organist, if we put the Doom up and we survive and we can get away from the Organist, we just win. Well, the scenario is going to be over. Because then we'll be at 5 Doom to advance. Mandy can take a 3 horror attack if push comes to shove and she can't evade the Organist. But she's going to have Jacqueline's special ability behind her. Question is, does Jacqueline have any agility commits in her hand? She does not, and of course the Organist is elite, so I can't attack Power Word to it. Well, in any event, we're into the investigation phase now, and I think our first order of business is going to be to take out this stealthy Baya key. For that, we need to go down to Jacqueline's play area to see what we can do about that. I'm going to gamble here a little bit. So for action 1, I'm going to exhaust Twila to keep a charge on Shriveling and use Arbiter of Fate so this use doesn't count toward Jacqueline's limit. And I'm going to aim at the stealthy Baya key. I'm up 4, drawing 3 tokens. And I don't think I have anything I want to add to that. I'm going to add Drawn to the Flame. So I'm up, so let's see, what was that? 6, 9, 10... to 5. I'm up 5, drawing 3 tokens. One, two, 3. Alright. First token up. The skull, which right now is a -3, but the bigger problem is that would be 2 horror. Token 2. Another skull, and a +1, so I get to cancel both skulls. The stealthy Baya key has been defeated. That's discarded. Yeah, I think we just take the attack and probably leave it on Mandy. That seems like the better play here. I think it's probably a better idea to just spend the Doom, or spend the clues to put the Doom up and be done with it. So, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to spend the 2 clues to put our 4th Doom up. That way we advance the agenda. So that's going to be the plan there. Then, for 2 actions, and with 2 more actions left, I think we'll just discard Internal Injury. That will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Mandy's turn will bring her down to her play area. Just for grins, we're going to see if we can evade this guy at even. For action 1. Elder Sign says we'll be able to, but we got to search first. And I'll go 3 deeper, see if I can get something I can actually use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I want to go 3 deeper, or do I want 2 targets? I think I want 2 targets. Card 1. Death 13, which would have been handy, but I can't commit that. Card 2. The Eye of Truth, and Through the Gates. Well, I don't want Through the Gates. I'll take the other 2, but more importantly, I do evade the Organist. That was mostly a for grins kind of test, but we got there obviously. Not much of a shuffle there, but the deck's also getting quite low. Then we'll spend 4 resources. Where is it? I want to play out Pathfinder, even though I really don't need to at this point. So we've got Pathfinder, but I'm taking 1 resource off of Torturous Chords as well. See See, that was action 2. Action 3, she'll take another resource. And that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the organist is evaded, and the stealthy Bayaki is very much dead. So we'll bring the organist right back to Mandy. I'll start resetting everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 10. Mandy will gain 1 and go to 6. Jacqueline will draw. Another Ward of Protection level 2. Let me make sure she doesn't have to discard, but I think she does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. She's good there. Those 2 should be unexhausted. Mandy draws. In the Know, level 1. 3 cost to play. Lore on Commit. Uses 3 secrets. As an action, spend 1 secret, investigate. Investigate any revealed location in play as if you were at that location. Mythos phase, we are advancing the agenda. Let's see what we've got here. Dawn at last. The sun rises and dispels the darkness. A warm fog envelops the city, blotting out the sky. Check the campaign log. If you have more or equal doubt than conviction, proceed to R3. If you have more conviction than doubt, advance to Act 2B. We have more conviction than doubt, so we're advancing to Act 2B. Or 2B. Shepherd's Crook. You lose track of yourself within the city as you flee for your life. Your feet move of their own accord. The beating of sinewy wings and screeching of creatures above you spurs you onward. Soon you find yourself running down a narrow avenue, passing a set of heavy iron gates. You are in a dead end, a court with tall, old houses on either side. You turn back toward the entrance and breathe a sigh of relief as you see the sun rising once more over the skyline of Paris. As though dispersed by the sunlight, the figure that had been chasing you folds into the shadows and vanishes. Just as you are about to leave, you spot a plaque next to a red-brown door atop a steep, narrow staircase. It reads, N. Engram. Check the campaign log. If you intruded on a secret meeting, which we did not, proceed to R2. Otherwise, proceed to R1. So, since we're already back up top, let me unlock my phone, and we'll go in once I find my album once again. There we are. We are on Phantom of Truth, and we are looking for Resolution 1.
Resolution 1. You can only assume this house belongs to Nigel Engram, the director of the King in Yellow. At last, you have finally found your quarry, and yet it is little relief to your straining sanity. You feel like a dog being led by a leash. Your fate decided by a cruel master who has long kept you in the dark. You push these gloomy thoughts to the back of your mind and knock on Mr. Engram's door. There is no response but a flock of magpies that scatter from the rooftop at the sudden noise. You try the knob, hoping you wouldn't have to resort to more forceful measures. To your surprise, you find the door already unlocked. Inside, Nigel's home is a mess of notes, old books, and strange diagrams. Covering the coffee table in his living room is an old, faded map bearing many fold creases and tattered edges. It looks to be an incomplete map of the catacombs beneath Paris, or at least a section of it. The food in his pantry is old and rotten. There is no sign of anyone having lived here for years, and yet the ink upon the living room walls is wet and fresh. Over and over, across nearly every inch of the wallpaper, it reads, "He is already here." Recording your campaign log that you found Nigel's home. Remove all cultist, rune, and elder thing tokens from the chaos bag. Then, add 2 cultist tokens to the chaos bag. If Jordan Perry, an imposing presence, is in the victory display, record his name in your campaign log under VIP's slain. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. Resolution 1.
Okay, that's enough out of you. So I'm starting to do a little bit of cleanup, as you probably gathered in the background. I already added the 2 cultists to the bag. We picked up 1, 2, 3, 4 experience. So we picked up another 4 experience. And I think that is it. Aside from the 1 mental trauma that we picked up at the start of the scenario during setup, that actually wasn't a terrible scenario, but that will do it for this playthrough of Return to a Phantom of Truth. Wednesday we're debuting a brand new game on the channel as we play Mag 23 Guadalcanal from Historic Wings. Next week the fall campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, continues with the 6th scenario, Return to the Pallid Mask. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.